Hello, welcome to IDT Talks. My name is Anastasia Larina, and we have a special guest from Greece, Kostis Geropoulos, co-founder and director of energy and climate policy and security at NE Global Media. Warm welcome to IDT Talks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, within the framework of Energy Minister Paris Shahbazov's visit to the United States, it was agreed with the World Bank to accelerate financial support for the network strengthening project as a contribution to COP29. Tell us about the importance and significance of this event.
Well, it's very important because, first of all, it was a wider discussion with Antonella Bassani and from the VP for Europe and Central Asia. So, as a VP for Central Asia, it also involves all the projects of the World Bank in the region. And Azerbaijan, as well as its neighbors, and Uzbekistan and the whole region, and Kazakhstan, are increasingly now looking into renewable energy. And given that the focus of the World Bank now is for the energy transition, they're financing projects that support that goal. So in this case, it was very important because by the way, congratulations. Baku is going to host COP29. So we've seen that also with Dubai, the year leading up to the COP in November, there were a lot of projects that were accelerated by the Emirates, also in Central Asia and in Uzbekistan, but also in Africa and other parts of the world. So in this case, as a host country, and given that such an important high-level event, I think that this kind of sets the stage for the discussions that are going to happen in November. And it's also an important project because Azerbaijan is an important energy supplier to Europe, and given the current geopolitical situation, we kind of depend on you for energy supplies. And why not renewables? That's the kind of the future.
How would you generally characterize the energy cooperation between Azerbaijan and the United States?
Well, the relationship is a very long one, as you know, Anastasia. From the goal of the United States for years now has been to for Europe to become energy independent. So it started with obviously in the beginning it was more for oil and gas projects, but from Baku to Ceyhan, but also eventually with the South Gas Corridor, which now, by the way, since 2 years ago, it's not only the South Gas Corridor Energy Council, but it became like the green also with a big focus on green energy. So Azerbaijan has always been a close partner to the United States, in the energy security sphere. This has also been heightened recently because of the disruption of gas supplies from Russia, and also the current geopolitical situation. We've seen now what's happening also in the Middle East. So that relationship has always been strengthened, and I know the embassy of Azerbaijan in Washington is very active. Also, same thing with the US in Baku. So it's a very, very close relationship, and Azerbaijan is a geopolitical partner of the United States, definitely.
And where do you see the opportunities for collaboration with other countries or international organizations beyond the World Bank, which we already mentioned, in advancing Azerbaijan's energy objectives? Please answer this question, taking into account all the existing infrastructure Azerbaijan has in the region.
Well, Azerbaijan is, there has also a relationship with, we are a UK company, by the way. So, when I was in Baku in June for the Energy Forum, I met with a baroness, and she was saying how many British companies are very involved. Obviously BP for a long time, but also now there are a lot of companies in renewable energy that are getting involved in Azerbaijan. So the World Bank, clearly, this is going to be an issue of financing and, also, as I mentioned, backing the grid as well, and that's several projects. But, you have the EBRD, you have also, but also like private sector involvement in Azerbaijan. So all the time between now and leading to COP29, there would be, discussion on all these projects. There are a lot of European companies involved as well. And I mean, we've seen that the close relation between the European Union and Azerbaijan. And during the forum also, there was a significant EU delegation. And so, I mean, the Europe is looking to Azerbaijan for its energy security.
Well, Azerbaijan has been actively involved in development of the green energy, renewable energy sources as part of its global energy strategy. What are some key successes Azerbaijan has achieved in this particular sphere, implementing the green energy projects?
Well, the potential is there because of obviously the Caspian Sea, and there have been there have been projects developing for offshore wind energy, and that the idea is to use that energy obviously to improve the climate and the conditions in Baku, but also export that some of that renewable energy to Europe. Obviously, Azerbaijan is not. It is far away, and there are all these geopolitical challenges and also technical challenges of exporting. But nevertheless, the more renewable energy you produce, the more natural gas will be available for Europe. And it will also, and Azerbaijan could use that price and that money coming in from the World Bank and also from the purchases of gas to develop more renewables and improve the situation in Baku and the conditions, for CO2 emissions in the country. And potentially, when I was 2 weeks ago, we discussed this before coming on air, I was in Romania and Bucharest for the Energy Week Black Sea. So I had the opening panel with the ministerial panel with the Deputy Energy of Bulgaria and the VP of the Committee of Energy from Industry and Services from the Romanian Parliament. And they also discussed the project that has been in the cards for some time to build an undersea cable on the bottom of the Black Sea that would transfer electricity from offshore Azerbaijan. It would be topped off in Georgia from when they develop their energy supplies also across the Sea of the Black Sea to Romania and Hungary. Now, these countries have signed a memorandum of understanding for that project, and I know there's a working committee which I think met recently. So, I mean, it is a challenging project, and I mean, obviously Georgia is a big player of this, and they can't do it themselves. But Azerbaijan has the supplies, and if the private sector is involved, then because it has to make commercial sense. And even if the electricity prices, it would probably bring down electricity prices as well. So this is one of the projects. I was also I visited Baku twice last year, and one of those times I went to the Alat Economic Zone. So there was discussion of actually developing the wind blades in Azerbaijan and using also the port there and producing wind energy and solar energy in that zone. So in that case, that would bring the cost tremendously down, and the companies can develop that under special circumstances because it's almost like its own government has, it was set up by, I think your president set like a special kind of rules for companies operating in the zone. So that's another possibility. So definitely, and as I mentioned earlier, I mean, you're an oil and gas producer and a major supplier, but you're looking down the road, and it's also there's a lot of potential, even more than in the Black Sea, I think, in the Caspian in terms of wind force to have offshore wind. I mean, it's not like the North Sea, but I think it rates quite high. And if you develop them locally, then there is the potential for renewables to be used domestically, and then if it allows to export them.
From what you have just said, can we conclude that Europe has a big expectations from Azerbaijan in energy?
Yeah, it has been, and it's an ongoing cooperation between Europe and Azerbaijan. And there's also traditionally also with the Gafaf gas corridor. I mean, the discussion is to double its capacity. So there will be. I'm actually, as I mentioned earlier, I'm in Greece at the moment. So I mean, TAP is arrives here. The Trans-Adriatic pipeline. We're having actually the first shipment of LNG coming to Greece. It's an American LNG to Alexandroupolis, and that also could use the TAP pipeline to and the interconnector between Greece and Bulgaria to go into Central Europe. So there's a lot of potential. I mean, the gas, not only gas from Azerbaijan, but gas comes in from LNG supplies and possibly like renewable energy. I mean, the future is also to transport hydrogen through TAP, so the Trans-Adriatic pipeline and maybe TANAP. So that's also a possibility. And you can produce hydrogen in Azerbaijan using renewable energy from the Caspian Sea.
Right, and then renewables can be used to cover the needs domestically, and the fuels, gas can be exported from Caspian Sea to Europe, right?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, that was a comment of my friend the Dean, who used to be at Botas. Actually, I tweeted about it earlier, and he was commenting that the more gas from Europe and more gas for Turkey as well.
And my last question, what are your personal expectations from COP29 in Azerbaijan?
Well, I think it's in November, so there are several months until then. But I think that COP28 was it was kind of a groundbreaking event in the sense that a lot of things were agreed on that. So Azerbaijan it is just to until November to see actually what progress has been made, and like the Emirates. I mean, it's an oil and gas producing country, but at the same time, it takes major energy producers and oil and gas producers to participate in order to take the next step, because there is a lot of the oil and gas majors now and are making this transition as well because they're planning in the future. So I mean, definitely until then. We'll keep this level of communication going, and we'll see. I think that again, at the beginning of the summer and the Baku Energy Forum, we'll have more a clear picture by then. But definitely, I think that it's a very significant event, and I think Baku can also play an important role in bringing all these players together from the region, and it can not only it would not just be Azerbaijan, but all the whole region in Central Asia can become a major player in this in this sphere.
Well, thank you so much for joining our program today.
Thanks, bye.